pleased to know that you are there following on us and loving our shows. Well, this show is in partnership with Life Ministry Uganda. You can always check them out on their website and social media platforms. They will be glad and very, very happy to connect with you. Well, this show comes to us under the theme of parenting. Remember, we come to you Monday to Friday under different themes, and today we are here under parenting. Our topic this evening is effective discipline strategies for teenagers. Effective discipline strategies for teenagers. And we have a very, very great couple to discuss this. They are already here in the studio, very, very ready and excited to share with us on this topic. And ladies and gentlemen, our guest this evening is a couple, none other than Silvanus Bob Turyamwiyuka, together with his dear wife, Joy Asimwe Turyamwiyuka. Ladies and gentlemen, join me welcome this great couple here in the studio and give them all the platform to take us through. You're most welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Nice to have you too.
Please say hello to the viewers and then we will start the show.
Viewers, we are happy to be here and to interact with you.
Yes.
Hello, nice to see you and nice to have us here.
Wow, wow, wow. And of course, dear viewer, I know you would want to know who is Bob and who is Joy. Well, Silvanus Bob Turyamwiyuka is married to Joy Asimwe Turyamwiyuka. They are blessed with 2 children. Silvanus is a social worker and a lawyer. Serves children and serves in children and youth ministry for over 30 years. Wow.
Yes.
Congratulations. 30 years.
Yes.
Ah, you speak like youth, you speak like children for 30 years. It's a part of you. Yeah, training for ordination in Church of Uganda, Kampala. And Joy is a lecturer at Uganda Christian University with over 20 years. Wow. 30 years, 20 years. You need to share the team. Some people are on job for two years and they run away. But here you're doing 20 years, 30 years. We thank God. Joy and Silvanus are born-again Christians with a passion for empowering youth people and families. Well, that is it from our guests this evening. And now we will go straight to our topic this evening of effective discipline strategies for teenagers. So for starters, to you, the Turyamwiyukas, what are some of the effective discipline strategies you have found to be successful with teenagers? You actually didn't let us know whether the 2 children are both teenagers or they are past that.
Okay, our 2 children, Sam and Simon. Sam is 23 and 24, and Simon is 18.
Oh, they are.
They have just one has just passed to be teenagers, another one is still a teenager. Although is an adult.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, we will go to define what is meant by effective discipline of teenagers. We look at the definition of discipline as avoiding lack of discipline. Yeah, but let me use other words and say training people on rules and regulations, and also correction and behavior. Yeah. So in a way, we are looking at trying to lead children. I'm calling them children because teenagers, they between 12, 13, and 18. Yeah. So training them on discipline is training them on rules and behavior, and also correcting their behavior. I was, as you were told, I've been teaching in Uganda Christian University for the last 20 years. And one of the things I teach is, I teach in the School of Social Sciences. So I teach about child growth and development and the stages of becoming a person. So we look at people as social human beings are social. They are born when they are human beings, but they have to learn to be social beings. So one of those things that is done is effective discipline, training them on rules and regulations. And we have the end in mind, which is we want them to be, to have a normal social behavior. So teenage, let's define teenage. Teenage is a time, is a transition. It is from childhood, and it's in between childhood and adulthood. So it's a critical stage. It's a critical stage of teenage. Therefore, it's a time to really, that's when the young people are becoming individuals. They are beginning to form their identity. They are also having body changes in size, and in their emotions are also taking shape. And this is transiting them to become adults. Now, adults are supposed to be responsible people. So then, when they become adults, they should have learned how to deal with their teenage time, because teenage time can have, as they try to come to terms with their new behavior, to discover, you find that they are becoming, they experiment this and that. And when they experiment, they might be, they might make mistakes, and those mistakes have to be corrected. Therefore, that is the discipline that we are trying to train. Yeah. So in that way, we have strategies like controlling, giving them regulations. Some of these rules and regulations, by the way, are not written. They are not written, but they are there. Parents have to give them rules, so they have to learn. Maybe my husband may add on to that.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, in addition, these are young people. And the fact that they're in a transition, they need autonomy. One of the things that the strategies is to have open communication. So that they're exposed very well to know what is good and what is bad or what is not right, and the consequences. And this communication, you live by example. They need somebody to mentor. They need to be modeling, takes place, because for them, the autonomy tells them, you break this rule and see what will happen. So unless you have had an opportunity, unless you have had an opportunity to have the open communication, then they will want to test and see what are you talking about. You've been talking about this story, but as to where is for them to know. You work with them. Say, these are the issues. If you move to this end, what do you see? They need to know the scenario itself. And once they know, then, and there is an issue, it is easier to bring them back and discuss with them. One of the areas that I have seen is that, for instance, when some of the young people attend camps, Christian camps, because I'm using the church background, and they come away from that camp. Even if I have not attended that camp, one of the areas I am interested is just say, okay, when you left here, going to the camp, what happened? Then a person could begin, while in the bus, this happened, I pushed somebody, or something like that, or X did that. And then after hearing that story, I keep picking up the nuggets. Then I have an opportunity to keep unpacking one by one. What would you have done? What do you see? How was the issue? Was somebody unfair? So once you have that kind of open discussion, then you can know how to work with them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So communication is good, and that means that it doesn't have to be like in a classroom where that teacher calls in and says, "Sit here and I give you instructions." It can be all the time. So these rules of life of discipline actually begin developing at an early stage. You have to have had a kind of lifestyle that you can communicate with the children. I know you could have covered something about younger children, But the culture begins from there, that you have a culture of talking with them. Once we are in the hospital, like when we got our babies, we were told to talk to them, that we should actually talk to them. When we laugh, they also learn to laugh. When we talk, they learn to talk. And when you don't do these things, they will not learn to do them. So in a way, the parents are role models of passing on rules and behavior of life. And this is where, if there is a mistake, then it can be corrected. For instance, we have been the teachers of our children on what to eat and not what to eat. For instance, if we are going to have meals, what time do we have the meals? What time do we have the work, the chores in the house? How do they use the bathroom? How do they bathe? You keep giving rules, regulations, and these don't end in teenage. Still talk about them. One thing we have seen is that actually teenagers are discovering even their identity. There is a way they want to look. There is a way they want their hair to look like. There is a way they dress. At some point, we'd see our children saying, I want to be smart like uncle so and so. So now the family members, the wider environment where they live, it shows them what they want to be. So in that case, if they talk about a negative behavior, we should be able to say, not that one. Or we tell them what we think about that kind of behavior or that kind of identity. If you want to dress like this, we can explain why. So, and also we can be part of the choice of clothes. Like if we are going for a wedding, we have to put on like this. If we are going for a Sunday service, this is what we put on. And schools help us, of course, have helped us to discipline the teenagers, that, for instance, their costumes at school. So we had to select our schools carefully. Which school do the children go to? We want to know what they do, what the beliefs of the schools are, and whether we actually believe in what the schools are doing. For instance, our boys went to a school where we know they pray. They pray before meals. Yeah? I pity a generation which will come and people don't pray for meals. Because here you learn to thank God, to give thanks for the food that you are going to get. And this is what I also learned when I was growing up, that before meals you have to pray. And prayer means thanking God for the food. So these are some of the discipline habits that we teach along the way, from childhood through teenagehood, and by the time they become adults, then we know they can be able to live on their own and they can practice this behavior. They will know that, for instance, what do we eat for breakfast, what do we eat for lunch. Then the other important issue is we talk to them as their personality. For instance, we call them names. It looks like it's simple, but it gives personal attachment to the child, to the teenager, that I'm talking to you, I address you, and you're a unique person. And then ownership of their property. We buy shoes for you, so you know these are yours. They are those which are not yours. So you're not allowed to take things that are not yours. Of course, we are basing on the biblical principles, and one guiding verse has been Proverbs 22:6. It says, train up a child in the way they should go, so that when they are grown up, they will not get away from that. So we believe what the scriptures tell us, and we practice it. And although it is not written, but we somehow train, because training is, there are no exams for training. It is, you practice. I show you what to do, and then you practice. Whether it's consciously planned or not, but it's deliberate, purposely planned training, so that they will not get out of the way and live another kind of life. Yeah.
Wow, thank you very much, Joy, and thank you also, Bob. I want to really Thank you so much for how you brought this out really well. And one of the things I picked from you sharing, Joy, was about identity, which actually I love so very much to, let our children know, about their identity. And I have a question on that. I see you are called the Turyamwiyuka. I want to believe that is where your other names of your children are coming from, the line of Turyamwiyuka.
Yes.
Did you have a time and, let them know why they are not called Sentongo, why they are not called, Ojo, but they are called the Turyamwiyukas?
Yes.
And if you did, why? Why is it important for us parents to actually explain to our children where they come from?
It's important for children to know where they belong and where they come from. Our children grew up, although they have been born and raised up in Kampala, but they know that our home is in Kabale. You must know how we do our culture and how things go on. And we also give them opportunity to know our relatives, to know our friends, and tell them that, look, we are doing this because of our cultural background. We are doing this because we are Christians. And we have to blend the two. And they have to be proud of who they are, so that they don't want to begin thinking, I wish I were somebody else. And if when you talk to them, they will say, for us, I am happy to be a Muchiga. So, and that is it. And then they begin learning more about their background. And we also keep exposing them, even up to date. And I think it's very, very important for young people to know their identity.
Exactly.
Yeah. And yes, one of the other things we do is we occasionally visit our parents who live in Kabale, and my parents live in Ntungamo district. But Christmas time is a time to go and see our parents. Our parents visit us anytime, and they come and live with us. So we take advantage of those visits to be able to visit our aunties, our uncles, and yes, their names are from this culture. One of our sons doesn't speak Ruchiga very well, but he knows his name, and when he says it, people say, is that English? Because it's called Akoraje. And Akoraje, the way he says it, you may think
Akoraje.
it is Akoraje. You can say, is it English? Is it Chiga? But he knows his name is there, and we have a Chiga. That's how we are known. And so when he's at school, he will find other Bachiga, and he knows the home district. And of course, we visit. We also make it purposefully. If we have events of relatives, we like, let's go for this wedding. The one whose wedding is my cousin, or is a son of my cousin, so that we have roots. We have a code of behavior. We have a language which we say, which we speak, and this is how Bachiga behave. So they may ask us, why do people say this about Bachiga? Then we tell them, our firstborn is called Samuel. He was born after a long waiting for children. So we tell them why we did that. Samuel was the son of Hannah. Hannah prayed for a child and got a child. And therefore you have this name Samuel. So at some point he asked me when I was younger that, so Samuel in the Bible, I'm trying to study who he was. He was a judge and he was also a prophet. So in future I should be maybe a judge or a prophet.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So the talking also helps us to reveal what happened and then why we believe in what we believe in. And purposefully we attend church, our church. We attend camps organized by our church, that is St. Francis Chapel, Makerere. So we believe they will find the peers. Remember, at teenage, they interact with peers. So who is their role model? Who are their peers? So we know the peers are from church. And therefore, their beliefs, their behaviors do not contradict what we believe in. So that they don't pick up other behaviors. Even if they did, they will know this is not ours. Ours is this. We are Christians. We belong here. This is right. This is wrong, according to our conduct in our home.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I want to appreciate you again for bringing it out clear. Of recent, I was talking with someone, and she put it plainly, and she was like, you know what? Relationships are actually almost ending, and she put it in, or something like that. But from your sharing, I see it's up to us as parents to actually keep this on happening by being intentional. And just like you were sharing, how you intentionally go to the villages with your children and say, this is your uncle, this is your auntie, which is really, really beautiful. And I want to thank you very much for that. But before we even do anything else, let's go off for a quick break. You can grab your glass of juice or water or anything that you love, and this show returns thereafter. Please don't go away.
Thank you.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes should not perish but have eternal life.
Because once Christ warns about something, it calls for attention as believers. When God warns us about something, it means that we are susceptible to it.
Finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil.
Moses, Ramesses, you grew up together, close as brothers. Remember the prophecy. Samson, chosen by the living God.
You dare to defy me? Let the furnace be heated sevenfold. Bind them and cast them into the fire.
It begins.
Take the ark!
Well, hope you enjoyed whatever you were drinking. Welcome back from that short break. My name is Claire Bwenja, your world's favorite host. We are still here, and we are blessed to have, this name is really, really blessing me, Turyamwiyuka. Yes, and thank you for keeping it Church of Uganda Family TV. This is the Family Hour, and before we went for a break, they were actually sharing with us why it's actually important to let our children know their identity, their belonging, why they do certain things, why they don't behave like others do. So really, it's quite a very interesting show, and we are blessed that you are still following with us. Well, and I would also want to ask this question. Many parents actually get scared when their children get into teenage stage, and they're like, oh, my child is changing totally. Also, when a child really gets off, like a teenager gets off totally, how can we parents discipline them or bring them back on board?
A teenager, as we've mentioned, because they are in a transition, their systems are all changing very fast, from body, from identity, from the way they see the world, from the peer influences. One is to know that this child or this young person is a gift from God. So you are dealing with a gift. It's not about what you are aspiring to do, where you want to go alone. No, what is God's design for this person? So we have to put this child in context, know that this person is unique. You must look at their interests, you must look at their needs, and we have to do what we are doing redemptively. You are interested in instilling discipline, doing some level of punishment, but it should be redemptive. So that afterwards he will learn something, but then still continue with life. Otherwise, it becomes a challenge when your child whom you want to discipline is humiliated, or is ashamed, or this child has lost esteem. So you will have missed it, depending on whatever discipline. And the discipline you are trying to give is that you are looking at particular privileges and you want maybe reduce them, not remove them. You cannot say now you will not have food again, you will not have supper, no. But if there was this special dish that always every weekend would plan as a family, would say, my dear, this time there is no, we're not going to have this kind of meal of this type of delicacy because of what happened. And you want this child to learn something. Yes, please.
Yeah, you can withdraw some privileges. For instance, you can withdraw the phones, the things they like most. At this stage, some of the signs of indiscipline can be like emotional outbursts. That is falling out of the rules of behavior. Somebody is cruel, is what? And also you can find that there is a refusal to go to school. That's also a sign of disobedience, and which requires discipline. So if a person doesn't go to school, how can you bring them back to sense? You can withdraw some of the privileges. You find that sometimes the person likes football. So that time you switch off the TV for football. And you say you have to make up your mind and go to school. When you stay here, you won't get this. There was this WhatsApp going around about a boy who was taken to school and he refused. So it was set in an Indian city. So that the father of the boy tried to beat the boy to go to school, but the boy refused. So he said, okay, go home. And when he went home, he took them to the garden to dig. The whole day, no food. So when he was digging,
I can imagine a day without food.
when he was digging, tomorrow he's the one who said, I have picked up my bag and I'm going to school. So at this stage is very critical because a teenager has already formed, is trying to form their mind, but is also testing you, the parents. And so the punishment may not be beating because they know how to hide. They can know how to hide from you and do what they want, but could be taking away privileges. Some try to give some beating, but beating is not very, very much. You cannot predict so much what will come out. It is beating is or spanking, what we call spanking, is more effective between 1 and 10 years. Even this child who's breastfeeding, if there's a misbehavior like crying, some parents just give a pinch the child, and the child will keep quiet. But a teenager, especially an older teenager like 16, 18, they can be emotionally reactive. So you don't want to use fighting. It's about talking. It's about removing privileges. If you stay here, I'm not paying for DSTV. So, there's no DSTV. So you have to behave yourself. And also, I think it's gendered. I grew up with many girls. I find that girls respond faster to punishment, maybe than boys. Boys can try to show that, for us women, we are disciplining boys. But they also want to show that now they are changing. We have changed. Mom, I have changed behavior. So you talk, not physical punishment. That is constructive. My husband may give you a biblical principle about teenage discipline. There is this reading. One, there's the prodigal son, but there is another one that the child is given to you in is the image of God, and it's going to be a person in society, and you want that person to be productive. So the attitude of punishing, yes, is redemptive. It is not that it is to express my anger. It's not that I'm going to express my anger on this child, but I'm looking ahead, and I want this person to come out a good person. So I punish them constructively with a meaningful punishment so that they can come out well. So one was in the prodigal son, that is Matthew what?
Luke
chapter 15.
Verse 11. It brings up a parable of the two children, or two sons. a young one and the older one. But now you see the young ones asked for the father for all he had. Give me my share of my property and I go. So the father gave. But you see, when the child, this young person left, would have actually been a teenager, left, he went to a distant country, and there was a famine, and he had nowhere to go. He had to go and take care of pigs. Now the situation was worse. So verse 16 mentioned that when he came to his senses, he asked, how many of my father's hired servants have something to eat? Yet I'm dying here. Now he remembered the good upbringing in the family. In other words, the foundation was laid down properly. I think one of the other challenges we have is the issue of foundation. He really recognized for the first time that the hard workers were better than him. And he decided and said, I will go and tell my father, for me, I want you to take me as one of the what? Hired servants. At least I have something to eat. But you see, the response of the father is what I'm interested in. When he came, the father didn't even begin asking questions. He saw that his son was out of shape. He saw that he had no shoes in his feet. He had no clothes. He said, you bring the best robe. He saw that he was hungry. He said, go and slaughter that calf. And he started celebrating as what? As a family. So the whole issue of the background, that foundation, once it is laid, this young person, even when they go astray, they remember that life. But if they come back, then please don't add, he's already injured. Don't bring more harm again. You breach the gap. So when your child gets away, for any reasons, these days there are challenges like drugs, there are challenges like alcohol, there are challenges like promiscuity. This person has already landed in the problem. When they come back, or at whatever level you find them, be redemptive. Be redemptive. He could be boy or girl. Be redemptive so that he finds that he misses your home. Because they were the good home rules this young person knew. Now enable them to restart again. Let's give them second chance.
Wow. Wow, thank you very much, sir. And I really appreciated how you brought the point of foundation really, really well. I think that's why even the Bible tells us to train up a child. For even when they grow up, they will not depart away from it. So anyways, what I want to believe, no one gives birth to a child and is like, I pray that my child should be indisciplined or should be a bad person, should turn out a nuisance. Everyone wants the best for their children. But what are some of these things that lead our children to indiscipline?
Some of the issues of indiscipline is the environment they live in. The media can offer ideas which you don't know. And also, we also have idleness. For instance, in cities, our teenagers are really idle. They don't have work to do. They don't have chores, and they become idle, especially because parents have gone to work, and they have left them maybe at home. They have not done any program, so you find that they have to use their time. Remember, they are creative. They are growing. The body is having changes. Emotionally, they are changing, and they are looking at what can they use their hands to experiment. So as they experiment, they may land into wrong experiments. So the environment matters. That's where we need to form an environment where we know that we are there for the children. We talk with them, create times with the children, the teenagers, and also to make sure they have a plan. Do they have a plan? Do they have people they look to? Who are their role models? So that they have somewhere to look to use their growth and time. Are they ambitious, trying to put across something? So some of these, the peers, do we know, even sometimes it's our relatives whom we know are not a good environment to be with. So we have to show them that this environment is the correct one. This one is not correct. The challenge we have so much now is that we parents, we may not have come up from a good environment, but like every parent, of course, wants to make sure the children are in the environment which they admire, and they want their children to also grow up in that environment. And therefore, we need to, as parents, also get to learn which environment is best, how best to keep the rules and regulations that we have taught our children. I know some families which even put the rules on the wall, and the role models. If you're talking about the best footballer, you have a picture on the room. I put up some rules on my wall. I don't have girls, but I found that, for instance, Reproductive Health Uganda gives out this information on charts. So I found they're giving charts about reproductive health. This is one area of indiscipline, and which can change the shape of a lifestyle about reproductive health. So I picked up some of those, and I also put them in my house and said, let me put them there. They will read them, and they know, for me, I want abstinence. What are the challenges that come with lack of abstinence in their reproductive health? What are the challenges that they can get, and how can they behave themselves? And of course, reproductive health usually gives up some addresses. For instance, helpline, what. So when I found them, I said, let me also put it up. I will communicate something to our youth. Because, of course, even if I have only boys, I usually have girls come in the house, nieces, visitors. So even the boys can see that this is our thinking as parents. We think this way. This is our culture and belief. So the environment, we try to shape it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you very much. Do you have something to add on that?
Yeah, briefly, I can mention that we need to give time to our children, or the teenagers. And as we are looking at all these influences, as we discuss with them, they also tell us their own side. We want to have to listen from them so that it will help us to download out those issues which may not be correct, which may need more research. Because there is when you don't even need to tell them the answers, you lead them where they can get the answers. And then once they get the answers, they have participated. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, this calls for intentionality. Anyways, what are some of the consequences of not disciplining our children?
Yeah, the consequences, the most consequences in life can stem from as far as teenage life. What happens to a person in teenage life when they're experimenting might be a mistake which they encountered and it was not corrected, and therefore it may go into adulthood. Some of the consequences, for instance, when the youth are experimenting, they may get into vices such as alcohol abuse, drug abuse. That's the fear we have as parents. Risky sexual behavior, even a mind of being corrupt, a mind of grabbing, a mind of some people, we find that they become lazy around that time. So the consequences of, say, laziness or not making good use of time, it can go into somebody's lifetime. And it is, if it's not corrected constructively. For instance, lazy people can be given extra work to make sure they cope, so that they can cope. Ensure that they can be able, say, to do some house chores. And if they don't do it, when will they learn how to do? Allow some mistakes to be made, but which are retrievable. For instance, when they are cooking and plates can break. They can burn the food. Yeah, so those are retrievable. But risky sexual behavior, it is something that drives, for instance, what drives me as a mother is to make sure I have talked to the children, or I have accepted that they talk to me about some of their challenges. One time our son was telling us that something happened at their school. He was in S2 and the lights went off when they were doing prep. So when lights went off, their school was a mixed school, girls and boys, and in prep they sit together. So in this school, that they say they did something, they go touching girls, boys go touching girls. So, and then the lights went off and then came back abruptly. So he was the one telling us about an incident, that lights went off and people were touching girls, boys were touching girls. Meanwhile, their teacher was also a young lady. So she was also touched. And she managed to see the people who were doing that during prep. So I thanked God that he was able to share with us about that incident. It showed me that he can easily talk to us about some of the challenges that happen at school and in the area of risky sexual behavior. Because thank God he was not caught. And the person who touched the teacher in that darkness was actually expelled. So there is a way we as parents have to deliberately sacrifice time to talk to the children about the consequences. I don't remember whether we had ever talked to them, but I think the school and us and the camps and our attitude had helped him not to be caught into such a thing. And I said, oh God, as long as I live, I should be able to tell my children about the consequences. Consequences of handling money, for instance. How to behave with money so that you're not caught up. In future, you see this future, there are people who are going to be in offices. How honest are they? I know a family who have some of the rules written on the wall. One of the rules says, tell the truth no matter what. Tell the truth no matter what. So it is that serious that don't shy away from, we shouldn't shy away. We have no luxury as parents to shy away to train the teenagers. And you see, we cannot beat them, we don't know where they will be, but we have to tell them like what we think. Sometimes we tell them stories, or we share a story which is on the news, and then they know that these are the rules, this is the do, this is the don't. This is the good one, this is the wrong one. Yeah. So
I think one of the challenging consequences is when younger people get into conflict with the law. You see, when you go to remand homes, these are younger people. They're actually still children. Now, when you go to prison, you find these young adults. He had just clocked 18, but he found himself into conflicts with the law. And you see a big group of those young people who are in prison, maybe 18, 25, something like that. So one of the other areas is that they need a reality treatment. Discuss issues, they know consequences earlier, they're even aware to discuss, I am fearing this because the consequence is that. Otherwise, a child who is not disciplined, who is not being helped, who is not reprimanded, who is not punished, he will just grow without parental control. Then he will never be loyal, even at the workplace. He will not be loyal even in social life, in a church congregation. He will never be loyal even to his peers. So it's important to discipline young people, and they know the consequences, and they can account for their lives and even for those ones who are around them. And that calls up the issue of even knowing their peers, so that if a child, when my child is a friend to another child in another family, I also have to be part of that family, so that as parents we also interact. If we don't do that, then they are in areas which you cannot account, and then later in their adult life, the consequences are high. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Bob, and thank you very much, Joy. It's a great pleasure, and I like it how you stated that it's important for us parents to discipline our children. Discipline is not all about beating and what. No, it's more than that. And thank you very much for bringing it out so clearly. Our time is really fast spent. Will you please give us your final remarks and we close the show?
Yeah. Yes, our final remarks is a verse. I'll give you a verse which is Psalm 127, verse 3. Yeah, I may paraphrase that it shows that children are a gift from God. It actually says sons are a gift from God. Once you have them, you can win a battle. So therefore, once we have them as parents, we need to shape them through teaching them the rules of life, controlling their behavior, and ensuring that they grow up to become responsible adults. At teenage, we have them. Afterwards, they travel, they go, and they are free. So once they go, they will live on what they got. So I encourage all parents to really save this time. It's between 12 and 18. After 18, even the law of the land says they are adults. So it's a short time that we should give to discipline our teenagers. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Joy. Thank you.
Yeah, for me, the book of Esther brings two personalities, Mordecai and Esther. And you see, Mordecai took the responsibility of raising Esther. And he was interested in what this young girl was doing every day. And because of that, she came out to become a queen who saved the land. So we need to be interested in our teenagers. Even if it's only one child, give your energy to that child.
Amen.
The investment will have good results.
Wow. Even if it's one, give attention. Thank you very much, Bob, and thank you, Joy, once again. To you, our dear viewer, thank you very much for loving Church of Uganda Family TV, and thank you so much for loving this family hour. Thank you for loving me, your world's favorite host. I will see you again next Friday, same time, same place. I love you from the deepest part of my heart. Good night.
Family Hour, empowering families one episode at a time. Together, we build strong, healthy, and thriving families with our daily dose of inspiration and expert insights on topics that matter, like education and career growth.
Education deals with the minds of our younger children.
We want to see all model schools.
Family health.
Well, the public is advised to follow the Ministry of Health guidelines.
Finance and wealth.
As the government, as the parliament, we can plug those gaps so that the money that we collect from the Wananchi give value to the Wananchi.
Leadership and governance.
Leadership, I think, requires unity, people being united to accomplish an objective.
Not forgetting parenting.
For those of us that have children, depending on the level of intimacy, I think it's important to show your children the type of relationship you have.
Catch more of this every Monday to Friday at 9 p.m.